Today we are going to discuss about the various Docker commands that we use in our daily life. This is a very common interview question. Why? Because if you are using Docker in our microservices application, there's a highly likely a chance that we may asked about the different types of different Docker commands that we use in our application, and what are the uses of those Docker commands, when do we need to use which Docker command. All these are the questions that we can expect in a Docker interview. So let's start with the discussing the commands now. We have started this channel new and we request you to provide your support with like, share, comments and subscribe if you like the content. Let's start the discussion. So the first command that we are going to discuss is about Docker images. If we give Docker images, then what will happen? It will list all the Docker images that is present in the server. I'll tell you a prerequisite. Whenever you are going to use Docker in your application, just check Docker version. Docker version will list the client and server version in your machine. So if you have Docker installed, you can proceed using the Docker commands in your machine. If you don't have Docker installed, get Docker installed in your machine, then try giving Docker version. If you get the client and the server version, then you can proceed with the Docker commands. So as I told earlier, Docker images is to list all the images that is present in the server. So next command, Docker image inspect image ID. Suppose say I have a Docker image with 94435 and I want to know all the details about that image, or it is like how it is created, how long it is present and various other details about the image. Then I'll go and give the command Docker image inspect image ID. That image ID will be 94452 or whatever it is. Next is, suppose if I want to remove a Docker image from my server, what do I need to do? I don't want that Docker image anymore, or I have created a Docker image, a wrong Docker image by mistake. I have changed something after that in my code and I have to create a new Docker image. So I don't want the old one. How can I remove that Docker image from my server? What command do I need to give? It is Docker image rm image ID. If suppose I want to remove multiple images, then I need to then I can provide all those image IDs here, so which will remove all the multiple images at a time. Then what is Docker PS? Docker PS will display all the containers that is running in my server. It will display all the Docker containers. Docker PS-A will display all the running containers. So what is the difference between PS and PA? If a container is not running, if a container is stopped, Docker PS will show even though the container is stopped. But Docker PS-A will display only the running containers. It will not display the stopped containers. What is next? If I have, how will I create my Docker image from my Docker file that I have created? What command that I'll give? I'll give Docker build space dot -t is for tag name and the image name which I want to create. Suppose I have a Docker file and I'm giving this command Docker build dot -t cracket, then image cracket will get generated. My Docker image will get generated with the name cracket. And if I want to see the Docker image, then what command I'll give? I'll give Docker images which will display that cracket image which I built with the help of Docker build. So our next command is to start the container. So how can we start the container? With the command Docker run -p. -p is for port mapping. Then we need to provide the host port and the container port. What is the container port? Container port is in which the Docker runs the application, in which the container runs. That is the container port. What is the host port? In which host port is the port in which my container will expose my application to the outside world. in which port in the host machine the Docker will expose the application. That is the host port. Then I need to provide the image name. What is this image name? With this image only, my Docker will create the container. My Docker will create the container for this image. So what is the command to start a container? We need to give Docker run -p host port container port and with the image name. Also, if we want to run the Docker in a detached mode, we need to use the same command with additional -d here. With the additional -d here. With the additional -d here, my command will be like Docker run -d, that is for starting my container in the detached mode, and -p host port container port and with the image name. Then I have a container, but that is in the stopped state. I have stopped it for some reason. Then how can I start that container? Then I can start that container with Docker container start container ID. So I'll know my container ID. I need to start my container using that container ID. How will I know? With Docker container start container ID. Then I know my container, but I want to stop that container for some reason. Then it's very simple. Docker container stop with the container ID. I can pass multiple containers here. So all those containers will get stopped at a given time. Then I don't want that container anymore. Like I want to kill that container instantly. Then what do I need to do? With the same command, I need to pass kill. Docker container kill. The container ID will kill one or more containers instantly. Then I need to restart my container for some reason. What do I need to do? Then Docker container restart the container ID. Like I can pass multiple containers or a single container ID here. If I want to see the logs of a specific container, how can I see the logs of the specific container? Then that is Docker container logs. Then I need to pass the container ID, which will display the logs of that container. So this is the commonly used Docker commands which we will use in our daily life. Let me know if you want to discuss all these commands along with the code in the comment section. If you want it, I'll discuss it along with the code. Thanks for watching Crack It. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe if you like the contents. Stay tuned for updates.